Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to your lighting critique. For today, we're going to jump right into it with Yang's animated shot here. So I was taking a look at this, and there were a couple things that came to mind. The first of which, and they have to do with the characters, because I actually think the environment lighting is looking pretty spot on. You did a really good job with that bell. I think that's looking a lot better. The only thing, maybe just a little more light on these, I guess those are handcuffs. On those objects there. They're just feeling, just because they're existing a little bit in, like the light kind of extends out to there, and it would be nice to get them. The thing with him, this character in the foreground, is I feel like this light on his screen right side is a little too magenta red, and I would just pull up, I would almost expose him up by almost like a stop of exposure, like maybe, I don't know, double his intensity. And I only say that because his intensity is very low right now. Just gain him up a little bit. You can even try and just do that in the comp a little bit, just to get him to read a little bit more. Now for the woman, a couple things about her is, so I was watching her in motion, and one of the things about, I wanted her to feel very clean and crisp, and I get the feeling from the lighting and everything and her mannerisms and everything that she's kind of wants to put about this aura of being unblemished and just kind of like an era of perfection. And one of the things about it is I feel like we can go whiter on her eye whites and her teeth whites, just to kind of make her pop a little bit more and a little bit cleaner, and like I said, just kind of more princessy. Another thing you may want to try, and we do this, or I've done this before on shots, is, and it kind of is counterintuitive, so play around with it and see what you think. But the idea is, on a shot like this at the beginning, she's being influenced by the cool fill light, and that's totally fine given the scene. But one of the things that I've done is actually put a more frontal spotlight on her. That's a little bit bigger and softer, that kind of and adds a little bit of warmth that helps fill in some of these areas, and it's interesting because it's kind of like an old movie setup, like an old comedy type of a thing, where it does flatten out the character and does take down some of the drama of the lighting. But what it does is it brightens the character up and makes them feel a little bit warmer, happier, glowier. And you can get away with all of that in the body, but in the face you kind of just want to hit this right here. So, and also it helps make the face just a touch brighter. Now you can do that one of two ways. Now her performance is pretty much in that one spot. So you can make the light static. I've also in the past parented the light to the face as well, so it kind of follows the face around, and is always kind of oriented towards her face. So something to consider there. But overall, I think this is working out really, really well. One thing I wanted to check, I wonder if, let's go ahead and make the walkie-talkie a little bit brighter too, just slightly brighter than the way the door is, just because she interacts with it. We just want to read that a little bit more. So just a little bit brighter than what we're seeing in the door. Maybe take that down a little bit, and then make this side of this that value, and just kind of flip that balance there. But overall, really great job out of you there. Okay, hopping over into our still shots. We've got Adrian, who did a really great breakdown here of, you did a gain test on the heads of these guys, on their skins. So looking at gain of 1.25, 1.5, and 1.75. You said you liked 1.5. I actually like 1.75. I think that this is kind of nice and pushed. I was looking at some reference, and I think that brighter level is about where we want to go. Additionally, I would like to see if you can push a little warmth into the fill side of that, just a little bit. And I'm only saying that because of looking at the reference. Check out the warmth that we're seeing up underneath him there. And, oh, that's funny. Oh, I'm drawing it on there, huh? The warmth that we're seeing in there and in there a little bit. And then, again, I mentioned this once before, but just the translucency on the hands as they're hit with sunlight. I think you could probably try and mimic that as well in these hands too. in the hands as well in there. Just like a little bit of warmth, a little bit of light glowing through there, I think could really help out a lot. But this is looking great. You're doing a really nice job with these. Annabelle, so pretty. This is so good. I think you're just continuing to improve it and continuing to make it better. I do think a couple little things. I think you can add a little more depth of field to the background. I think you can get away with just a touch more, like an extra couple pixels. I would be nice. I was looking at this. It would be nice to get a touch of rim light on her back here just to kind of separate her out from the background there. I think that would help a little bit. And finally, I'm wondering, and this is me wondering on the fly, just flipping over to this. I'm wondering if we couldn't add just a touch more yellow and red to it, just to like it feels a little bit too magenta, and I'd like. And this is total personal preference, but I do kind of like it with a little bit more yellow and a little bit more red in there. My daughter agrees. So that's where I would head with that one. But this again, you're setting a new bar with this one. This is better than I thought she could look. So this is looking really great. Next up, we have Ashley. So Ashley, looking at your layout here, because I know you said you still wanted to adjust the lighting, so not getting into that. I think the layout's looking a lot better. I think there's three things that I would do here. Number one, watch out for the position of this rug. I think it's great, but I'm wondering if some of these flowers aren't interpenetrating it just a little bit, so you may have to raise up the rest of the objects there. So just take a look into that. Number two, I would like, if possible, to fill something in back here. If you could put it like a distant tree, that would be great. Or maybe even just like one of these plants kind of back behind there, just kind of something to fill in this space right here. That feels a little bit empty. And number three is I'm wondering if we could rotate her a little bit around this way. And the reason why is I want to create a little bit of separation between the edge of this flower and her face, like allow that blue space to fill in, to really kind of help tie that in. The way that, you know what I'm saying, like there's a little bit of a gap here. And I think that this little like negative space helps the composition a lot. And so they're not kind of reading over top of each other. But yes, I do think this is much, much better than what we were having before. And I think you'll ultimately have a more successful result. Clarissa. All right, let's check out your reference. And welcome. I think this is your first post, if I'm not crazy. And you asked a question. I answered it in the forum. But yes, generally you only have to put your reference up the first time. Now, I'm not the smartest of people, so I don't always remember it forever. So there will be times when I'm like, you know what? Hey, would you mind posting your reference again, just so that we can reground ourselves on some things. The biggest thing that I was seeing was, so you're overall you're kind of nailing this. Like you're nailing the color, the look, the shaping. There's a lot that's right about this. Like because when I first looked at this, I thought it might be a little too pink warm, but I guess that's kind of where this one falls. Like looking at the white of her shirt, and the white of her hair, I guess like they do kind of fall together. But a couple things that we can improve upon are, number one is if you look at Mama Coco, there's really no hard lines on her face. Like whenever they light her, it's always super duper soft. And I think we can do the same thing. Like there are a couple of hard lines. Like there's this shape here, this line here, a very hard shadow coming across here. So I would work to soften those in your next iteration. I think that would definitely help out a lot. Now, normally I encourage people to increase the specularity on the skin. But in this case, I feel like she's looking a little bit almost metallic. So I'd pull just a touch of the specularity off of her. Now, that being said, you may not actually need to do that, because if you're softening the lights, that might actually bring down the specularity enough. In terms of her hair, this was one that I think that we could, because I could see where you're going there, but I would like to see a little bit more of that warmth in her hair up here. And then underneath her shawl, it would be great if you got some a little bit of like that magenta spill light shining through there. I think that would really help out a lot. Other than that, I think this is looking pretty good otherwise. But the background looks great. I was just looking, you know what's funny? I thought that you had just painted her out of this one, and I didn't look that closely. Like, this is a unique background. Like, there's a different door handle there. The cross is slightly different. The flowers are different. So you really did a thing there. So that looks really, really great. Yeah, just those just a few minor tweaks, but you're kind of nailing the reference there a little bit. So really great job. Diana. All right, so you got your 2 iterations here. I agree that I like the brighter one better. I think it kind of ties everything together a little bit more. For this character, so for him or her, I don't know the gender of this character. For this character, I think you can even potentially go a touch brighter on that TV light. Maybe up into like ignoring how bright those eyes just got. But like looking at the skin, I think you could possibly go a little bit brighter, like up into there. And for her, I also think she can go brighter. I think that you can push her value up a little bit, especially in this warmth from that lamp coming over. Let's see, let me go ahead and erase some of this around here. We'll do that on him as well, and then we can kind of take a look at it. So by pushing that, I think that really helps get the characters to pop a little bit more. And it may not be 100% photo accurate, but I think that'll really help read. And the TV, like this little glow around the TV, and like that's looking really good. You might even be able to just like goose that a little bit more and push that a little stronger, but that's looking really great. All right, cat. So reference here. I like this one a lot for your scene, just because this one is more about actually seeing the light source. So I'm gonna close this one and actually focus in on this one, because what this one's doing is this is what I call a light wash. It's just light washing across the frame, in that there's not exactly super strong rays of light. So really, it's just about getting this warmth and then sweeping that across. So you've got it in this one. So I think you can go probably a little bit brighter, warmer on that wash, and then pull that across this way. I think that would be good. And yeah, a little bit brighter on this side. I like the fall off of it, but a little brighter on that side. Now, for the lighting on the scene itself, I would like to see the key light spun around a little bit more to create more shaping on her, because she's looking pretty, and I get it because her head's rotated towards that side, but it would be nice to push it around so that we can try and get a little bit of that Rembrandt lighting on her face there, that little triangle light to dark fall off as well. And then I don't know. And then for the next iteration, let's really push some more value into these shadows. Because again, bright sunny day, you're going to get light bouncing all over the place. Like, let's look at this reference. Like, there's no, other than like kind of deeper in these trees in here, there's really no darker values. Like, look at the fill value on this white structure there. And if you could think of like something like this being similar to that, like think about how much like cool light's going to bounce up in there. Now, again, for this scene, because of all the warmth in it, you may not want to push that cool light too much because it could just end up looking gray. But something to keep in mind. If also like these shadows are still feeling a little bit sharp. Actually, I can't tell if that one's a shadow or the actual plant, but these on the wall here definitely are feeling a little bit sharp, and on a bright sunny day there would be a little bit more of a diffused edge to them. And also, if we can try and get, depending on the position of the key light, if we can try and get this overhang to cast some shadow behind her, that would be ideal. Just because then we can play her light over dark. I think that would help out a lot. So great progress here. You're moving along nicely, and we'll see what we get from here. But this is, much improved. All right, Nigel. see what this is. Yeah, okay. Last one for the day. Nigel. Okay. Really pretty stuff. I love you said something in the forum that was like, I finally got a renderer to be powerful for my vision, which just made me smile. I love that. I believe Adrian said it in the comment, and I totally agree. So he was saying that the sculpture is drawing our eye away from her. And that's totally true. And the reason why that's true is, again, the darker, like our eye is drawn to the most contrasty element. And because there's a lot of light fog coming in here, it's kind of lifting her darks and washing her out a little bit, so that she is no longer the most contrasty point. So our eyes focus all here, and she almost feels like background. So what if we shifted that a little bit? Let's say that we want her to be the focus. So what we would do, or what I would do was a couple of things. Number one is I would take the whole camera and move it over this way just a little bit, just so that like the edge of we eliminate all of this dead area, so that the sculpture is right up against the edge. Okay, so that's step one. Step two is I would work on my depth of field where this foreground element falls out of focus a little bit, and then maybe the background back behind her, maybe this sculpture is out of focus as well, just a little bit. Additionally, the light fog and the God rays and everything are a really great idea, but I would pull her out of that and allow those to fall back behind her, because then that wash would allow the separation from her out. It's similar to like Annabelle has this here. If she put in a light wash back behind, I think Forrest had a really good example yesterday of that light wash, creating less contrast back behind the character and allowing her to pop forward. So you could either move that light back behind her, or you could even use the alpha channel of her in the comp to punch out and darken the area around her, or her. Basically, you just pull her out of that volumetric ray if you have that as a separate pass. But I think that'll definitely help out a lot. I think you can push the angle of that light a little bit more towards the key light, a little more screen right, to create a little bit more shaping on her face. I can see from her nose shadow that it's feeling pretty top down, and I would like to see that. In terms of the vertical shaping, I think that's looking really nice, and coming around here looks really great. It's just we want to get it more sweeping across her. Flowers are looking pretty good. We'll see how they look out of the volumetric, but I think that's a really good place to start. So that's all for today. If you all have any questions, make sure you post them in the forum, and I look forward to seeing what you got tomorrow. All right, happy letting, everybody.